Day off for Curtis Granderson, so Alejandro De Aza will get his first start in 2.5 weeks. David Wright, a scheduled day off. Eric Campbell will start for the 5th time in the last 8 games, playing third base today, as the Mets try and snap a 3-game losing streak, taking on 26-year-old right-hander Tyler Chatwood.
Well, Gary mentioned before 2 Tommy John surgeries in his career. Those are Toyota numbers. This year he had his first win as a 21-year-old for the Los Angeles Angels, but then was traded to the Rockies for catcher Chris Iannetta.
De Aza will lead things off. Last time Alejandro De Aza started a game April 27th against the Reds. It seems like an eternity ago.
He's like the man forgotten, right?
He has struggled as a pinch hitter, and so Terry Collins will get him some at-bats today, try and get him a few reps so that he can be a little more efficient coming off the bench. De Aza just hitting .189 to start the year, and Chatwood misses high with a fastball, and we're underway. De Aza, Cabrera, and Conforto for the Mets, who are now just 6 games over 500. They've played 10 games on this road trip. As a team over those 10 games, they're hitting just .211, and they've averaged just 2.9 runs per game over those 10 games.
Well, that's a good way to go 4-6. Could have been worse.
And the last few days, their starting pitching has not been up to snuff either, and that's how you get a 3-game losing streak. De Aza fouls back a fastball, and it's 2-1. Tyler Chatwood, like so many of these Rockies pitchers, brilliant on the road, not so much at home. Chatwood had thrown 2 straight scoreless starts before his last outing against Arizona, when he gave up 6 runs in 6 innings and lost 10-5. De Aza shoots one foul off the front of the Mets dugout, 2-2.
You know, Gary, but in his career in this ballpark, he's 10-7 with a 4.44. And wasn't Steve Gelbs talking about the other night that having a 4.50 ERA can play in this ballpark?
Chatwood really only had a chance to pitch something approaching a full season in 2013. And he gets the breaking ball to strike out De Aza for the first out of the day.
Well, defensively for the Rockies, Coors Light defense, they've got 4 players on the field. They have 9 Gold Gloves between them. Parra and Gonzalez in the outfield, Arenado and LeMahieu in the infield. LeMahieu with 6 plays last night, producing 7 outs. And Dustin Garneau gets a start behind the plate.
Well, LeMahieu had a big night last night in the field, at the plate. He was everywhere. Here's a dribble Cabrera, 1 for 7 in the series, and he takes a strike.
You got to be ready. Tyler Chatwood works very, very quickly. If he's going well, he'll get a lot of ground balls.
Chopped down to third, and Arenado, the only man on that side of the infield, there to throw out Cabrera, 2 out. Well, we talked about Chatwood being hurt so much. 2013, he made 20 starts. That's the only thing he's had approaching a full season. And that year, he was 8-5, 3.15, which is awfully impressive, pitching half your games here. Then he made 4 starts in 2014 before the Tommy John surgery and missed all of last year.
Listen, this is a good pitcher. This is one of the guys that they thought was going to be one of their stars. Had Tommy John in high school and then Tommy John again last season.
Michael Conforto, first pitch swinging, fouls one back. Conforto 2 for 9 in the series. Well, for all he has been through physically, Chatwood's still only 26. And watching what John Gray did the other night, if Chatwood is back in form, that's hit sharply, and Arenado flags that one down, and that retires the side. Strong young pitching, combine that with some outstanding defense, maybe the Rockies have something here. No score as we go to the bottom of the first. except for the catcher, Dustin Garneau, getting his first start of the series. But the Rockies have been hot. They've won 3 straight to get to 500 for the season. Only a game and a half out of first in the West. And they face Jacob deGrom this afternoon. Charlie Blackmon leads things off and takes a strike. Blackmon 4 for 8 in the series.
Bring me the car. There it is. Those are the numbers this year. But 2 years ago today, Jacob deGrom made his debut in the major leagues. He lost 1-0 to Chase Whitley in his debut against the Yankees. Since then, he's 26-15.
Withered Chase Whitley. Taken high by Blackmon, 2-1. Blackmon riding an 11-game hitting streak. He's been on fire. Trevor Story behind him, Nolan Arenado. A powerful top half of the batting order for the Rockies, and deGrom immediately behind, 3-1. Well, velocity has been an issue for deGrom. Fastball command has been an issue. His velocity was a little better against the Dodgers. His command not necessarily. Throws that one by Blackmon, 3-2. Gave up 4 extra base hits in the first 3 innings against the Dodgers in that last start. Then settled in and gave the Mets 7 good innings.
Hard to judge in the first inning if some extra is on the ball, because the hitters are just getting used to the speed themselves.
3-2 to the leadoff hitter, and Blackmon rolls one to Walker. And Neal makes the play for the first out.
Defensively for the Mets, with Alexis defense, Conforto, Cespedes, De Aza instead of Granderson in that leadoff spot. Campbell now has started 5 of the last 8 games. Cabrera, Walker, and Duda, and Kevin Plawecki with the hot bat. One of the few Mets with a hot bat still in there this afternoon.
Here's Trevor Story hitting second in the order. He's been very impressive in the Mets' first look at him. Story 4 for 7 with 3 doubles in this series. And deGrom fires a fastball for a strike. Story tied for second in the National League with 11 home runs, 6th in the league with 28 RBIs. Has also struck out more than anybody else in the league. And he fouls off the slider, 0-2.
45th pick in 2011, Irving, Texas. Looks like he's a little more than 180, by the way. He looks very strong and powerful. Favorite shortstop growing up, like all the players his age. Derek Jeter, number 2.
Just 23 years old, bursting on the scene this year. And the curveball drilled deep but foul.
Story went down to one knee like Adrian Beltre. Keeps it up in the air and then drops it straight down, and see how that spike slid on that clay in the batter's box.
Oh, 2 to Story, and he lofts this one down the right field side. De Aza getting over into foul ground and can't quite get there. I'm not sure he exactly knew how much room he had. Didn't quite get to the sidewall.
I don't think he saw it. When he got close, he doesn't have any glasses on. It's kind of hazy here, and never saw the ball. That's a catchable ball. See how he's looking up? Just never saw it there at the last second. Hazy skies.
Somebody needs some sunglasses.
Or whatever.
And nobody's bringing them out to him. I mean, you look up at the sky, you don't get the sense that there's any sunlight, but there is glare, and that's what bedeviled De Aza on that play.
If I were an outfielder, Gary, I would throw him in my back pocket just in case.
Just don't understand not having sunglasses. And after that play, why wouldn't you go get him? deGrom with a good extension retires Story for the second out. One of these days, maybe Jacob deGrom's going to win a Gold Glove.
Well, I know they gave it to Arrieta. I think this is my personal opinion. I think Zach Greinke is the best fielding pitcher in the National League, but Jacob is this close, and I think they're both better than Jake Arrieta, who's really good, but both of them are better.
Well, you just named 2 of the 3 pitchers who have better ERAs than Jacob deGrom since the day of his major league debut. Third on that list is Clayton Kershaw. That's how good Jake has been. Arenado goes after a first pitch slider.
Just like Harvey. Harvey started the game with a very nasty slider that went away in the middle innings. Good one there by DeGrom.
Popped up, and Duda having trouble seeing it with the haze, but he locates it and makes the catch to retire the side. The whole group needs to get sunglasses when they come out for the second inning. Not a bad idea. No score after one. When Cespedes leads off against Tyler Chatwood, who required just 9 pitches to get through a 1-2-3 first. And Cespedes takes a strike.
Met hitters better be ready. Chatwood has, I wouldn't say quick pitch, but a lot of them have not been ready for the first pitch when they've come up to the plate.
And he is a strike thrower as well. And Cespedes fouls back the fastball, and it's 0-2. Chatwood, one of those shorter right-handers, just 6 foot, 185 pounds. You don't see that many.
Reminds me of Mr. Oswald. That's what he reminds me of.
Complete with the pants hiked up.
Yeah. If he has a big hook, then it's official.
He's got a good curveball. That's hit in the air to center field, chasing Blackman back to the warning track, looking up, and it's out of here. Yoenis Cespedes clears the high fence in right center for his 12th home run of the year, and the Mets take a 1-0 lead. So Cespedes, who had a 3-home run game here last year, gets himself untracked with number 12.
Well, Chatwood thought he was going to bully Cespedes through that at bat. First pitch fastball, second pitch fastball, went right at him with the 0-2 count, and Cespedes let him know. Same pitch. He was supposed to be down and away, just up enough, and so much power.
And even with that new high fence, Cespedes able to easily clear it. Now Lucas Duda takes a curveball for a strike. Duda 3 for 8 in this series. As he tries to perk up, all 3 of his hits in the series have been to the opposite field. 433 feet on the Cespedes home run.
Wow. 433 to right center.
Well, you get the 10% aid from the altitude.
He's a scary dude, man. It doesn't matter where.
Yes, he is. And the fastball just misses. 1-2 to Duda. Two and 2 to Lucas with Neil Walker on deck. And the curveball gets Duda for the first out of the inning. You were looking for the curve?
Yes.
There it was.
There it is. Good breaking ball late. And we saw last night that Lucas swung through a few Boone Logans. Watch his arm. That's the only thing that's different from Roy Oswalt, who we were talking about before. Kind of wraps the ball around. You know what he reminds me of? I don't know if you remember this pitcher for the Rockies. He had a lot of success. Ryan Cook, a guy who got a lot of ground balls.
Here's Neil Walker, who homered yesterday. It's like Neil has fought his way out of a 2-week slump. He had 3 hits last night, including that home run, his 10th of the year. Alejandro De Aza cleaning off his sunglasses. Once bitten, twice shy.
There you go.
It's always nice to see the learning curve take hold.
I've always want to go back to the Seinfeld reservation thing whenever I talk about the glasses. You know how to take the reservation.
Just don't know how to hold the reservation.
You know you need the sunglasses, but you don't always take up the sunglasses.
Well, it is cloudy. I mean, your first thought on a cloudy day is, I'm not going to need sunglasses.
I was wrong. Remember I said Ryan Cook? Aaron Cook was the pitcher.
Yes.
Sorry about that, guys. Played for Boston later in his career.
Yeah, he had some terrific years here in Colorado. Low strikeout guy. Chopper past the mound. Charging is LeMahieu. The quick toss in time to get Walker for the second out. LeMahieu has made every manner of play in this series, and there was another.
You know, when you're a taller infielder, it's hard to get down with 2 hands and make that low throw. So what he does is he gloves it, transfers it quickly, and lets it go. I was saying about his glove, it's a little bigger glove, so he's able to trap that baseball very easily.
Problem with the bigger gloves, sometimes it's harder getting the ball out. So 2 out. Here's Kevin Plawecki, who's had the best road trip of any of the Mets hitters. 8 for 28 on the trip with 4 doubles and a home run, as he has taken on the bulk of the playing time and thrived with it.
Kind of ironic, because last year in San Diego was probably the lowest point of his season last year, because he was suffering from those sinus issues and a little bit of vertigo, and that's where he really got it started on this road trip.
He taps one slowly. Chatwood fields this one, and that retires the side, but the Mets get the early lead. Yoenis Cespedes breaks out the home run bat. Cespedes with his 12th of the year, and he stakes DeGrom and the Mets to a 1-0 lead. Home second inning. Gerardo Parra will lead off against Jacob deGrom, who worked a 1-2-3 first. Parra hitting cleanup for the second straight day, for the third time in his career. He takes up and away for ball one. Parra 3 for 8 in this series, leads the National League in doubles with 14. Parra, Gonzalez, and Reynolds for the Rockies in the second against deGrom. And Parra a little late on the fastball, and it's 1-1. So we talked about the company that deGrom is in as far as his ERA across baseball since his debut 2 years ago today. How about this? In an era where starting pitchers don't get as many wins as they used to. Has a good changeup, and it's 1-2. There are only 3 Met pitchers who have more wins 2 years from their debut than Jacob deGrom. Dwight Gooden, Tom Seaver, and you.
Oh, wow.
And he's 4th on that list, which is, you know, pretty good considering how many fewer wins pitchers get these days.
Because they don't go deep enough into the game, so they get some no decisions. It's impressive for Jake.
Curveball. Parra couldn't stop the swing, and deGrom has the strikeout. His first of the day. And there you see, you got him by 1 run.
Come on up, Jacob. The Mets need a win.
Well, but it won't be within 2 years of his debut.
I'm going to count it.
Would it count today?
Yeah,
I guess within 2 years.
Yeah, let's count it. Love to share a place with Jacob as he goes north of me in every single other category. So for a day, I'll share some room with him.
Here's Carlos Gonzalez, who has really struggled. 0 for 8 in this series. And he drives one to left field, but there is Conforto, but it eludes him and goes to the wall. Well, with the thin air, Conforto misjudging the line drive as it took off on him, and Gonzalez winds up at second base.
Well, this is one of those cases of a young outfielder not knowing where he's playing, and you always have to play that ball. A lot of times you'll play a line drive right at your chest. You want to play this ball almost in the sense that it's going to be in front of you all the time. You want to play behind the ball where you can always come up on it. Because once you have to move back, then you're in trouble.
It's the second ball that Conforto has misplayed in this series. He had a triple by Parra go under his glove on Friday night, and now here this will be scored a double for Gonzalez. Here's Mark Reynolds with a runner at second. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
And guys, remember, on that play with Conforto, this is exactly what the coaching staff was telling him and the rest of the outfielders the first day here at Coors Field. These balls carry differently on line drives. You think they're going to fall in, and they keep going an extra couple of feet.
Reynolds lifts one to center. Well hit. Back goes Cespedes. He'll have room. Tagging at second, Gonzalez. He's going to challenge Cespedes. The long throw to third base is offline. And Gonzalez arrives safely. Came off the bag briefly, but gets back. 2 out.
Well, we love watching him throw. It's just it's too deep in that outfield to have a play on Cargo, who's got some good speed. You know, Steve made an interesting point. Take a look at the runner first. As he notices, it's either going to be out of the ballpark. If it's not, then he knows that Cespedes is going to get to it. And Cargo is running.
He knows
full speed.
He knows who he's running against.
You know, Steve was saying something interesting, and I wonder if it played a part in what happened to Conforto.
DJ LeMahieu.
The first game, Parra hit a ball there that did go down, and it went underneath his glove for a triple. So I wonder if that played a part in him trying to come in on that baseball as it flew over his head.
Good block by Plawecki to keep Gonzalez at third.
Either way, that reaction from Jacob deGrom as we see the block from Plawecki is getting better and better. See how that skidded on the plate? That's what made it tough. That was a really good reaction by a pitcher, because I've seen worse.
Just in the last week we've seen worse.
Just in my life.
deGrom has a way of digging in when he has to, and he'll need to do that here against LeMahieu, who's had a hot bat in this series, 4 for 7 with a couple of extra base hits. And he fouls back the slider, and it's 1-2. By the way, we have located Chase Whitley, who was the party of the other part in deGrom's debut 2 years ago. He is with the Rays organization on the DL after having Tommy John surgery last summer.
We've got to get you on 60 Minutes because you're great at that stuff.
Well, Morley Safer is retiring.
There you go. Right in. Could be with the 20 other correspondents.
Here's the 1-2, and it's hit hard, a base hit for LeMahieu, and that'll tie up the game. Gonzalez in to score. LeMahieu continues to thrive in this series, and the Rockies tie the game at 1.
This is the third time it's happened in this series. Plawecki has sat up to get the ball up in the strike zone, and both Harvey and Verrett and now Jacob deGrom have thrown the ball middle. And if you're going to execute that pitch, that would be neck high or higher.
Here's the other thing about that. LeMahieu now has 4 hits to the outfield in this series. They've all been to right field, and yet the Mets continue to shift him like he's a modified pull hitter.
Well,
so I don't know what the charts say, but they're not working. Dustin Garneau takes a strike.
Peabody, who's in charge, has said that we're playing him the ball.
Not Sherman?
No. Sherman and Peabody.
Dustin Garneau making his 7th start. Got called up when Nick Hundley went on the disabled list. His 2nd tour with the Rockies this year. And he skies one to center. Should be easy for Cespedes. And that retires the side. But a misplayed ball in left field leads to a run. And the Rockies tie the game at 1 as we go to the 3rd.
First ball that I remember playing in right field, Carlos Gonzalez hits a line drive. I said, oh, it's over my head, I'll play it off the wall. But it smacks the back outfield wall, which is in the bullpen, which was a home run. And I go, wait a minute, that's when it finally clicked in my head that the line drives carry and stay up a little bit longer than normal. You're going to be playing so much deeper to begin with. We're going to be almost at a no doubles depth to start the beginning of the game just because of the way the ball happens to travel here. So you happen to have balls that might fall in. So my job is to communicate to Neil and to Asdrubal or whoever happens to be at second and short, hey, you're going to have to come out here because we're almost on the warning track.
From Curtis Granderson on Friday night, it bears relevance here for what happened to Michael Conforto.
Yeah, but again, he mentioned earlier that it was Cargo who hit that line drive that went out of the ballpark. It was Cargo who hit the ball to Conforto. The difference between Cargo and Parra hitting the ball are like 2 different hitters. A home run hitter's ball is always going to carry anyways.
Eric Campbell leading off in the 3rd and takes a slider off the plate. 3-1.
You got to know your customer, Gary, when it comes to this stuff, you know.
Jacob deGrom on deck, and then Alejandro De Aza. Well, it's all part of the education of a major league outfielder. This is a different kind of laboratory. Pulled on the ground past Arenado and down the line, and Campbell's got himself an extra base hit. Sticks in the corner. Parra goes over to get it. Campbell will hold at second with a leadoff double. Well, you got to hit hard to make sure that Arenado can't flag it down. That's the first extra base hit of the season for Eric Campbell.
Well, for Eric Campbell, he's started 5 times on this trip, 5 out of the last 8 games, as he's getting more and more playing time with Wilmer Flores on the disabled list. So you need more of this from Eric. Good start.
So the Mets have their second hit against Chatwood. Both have been extra base hits, and now DeGrom up there, and they'll look for the bunt. Jake 0 for 7 with a couple of sacrifices, but he swings and he grounds one through the middle, a base hit. Campbell around third, he'll be waved home. Jacob DeGrom's first hit of the season produces a run, and the Mets are back in front 2-1.
Well, the Mets might now set a record for the least amount of sacrifice hits during a season, as their hitters are just going to swing free. And another ribby. And what a road trip they have had since the Cologne home run, these pitchers.
Well, it's shades of last year when the pitchers carried the offense for long stretches.
I mean, not an easy pitch, just working up the middle. Second baseman was shading towards first because of the thought of the bunt.
Now De Aza takes a sinker low and away. Alejandro struck out his first time up. So the 8 and 9 hitters produce a run. Campbell a double. DeGrom drives him in. It's interesting. I asked Terry Collins the question the other day in the wake of the Syndergaard home runs. With all the good hitting pitchers they have on the staff, would you bunt less frequently in obvious bunting situations? And he said, well, remember, they're good hitting pitchers. That doesn't make them good hitters. But he has done that now. This was certainly a situation that in most ballparks would cry out for the bunt. I don't know if it's different at Coors Field, but he opted to let him swing away. Diaz chops one off the plate, a foul ball. 2-2.
Well, it was a ground ball, Gary. If it's moved over 5 feet one way or the other, it's a double play. Then how do you feel about it? I mean, it feels great now because he's able to hit a hole. I don't know. I'm up in the air about that stuff. I think that they're really good pitchers who can really hit. But these pitchers are going to have to get smarter and not just groove one down the middle.
Diaz strikes out for the second time. That's the first out of the inning. Well, we saw it after Syndergaard hit the home run. The 2 home runs, we saw Joe Blanton throw him 6 sliders in a row.
2 best hitting pitchers I faced were Don Robinson and Rick Rhoden. I pitched them like hitters. I didn't even think about them as pitchers. Whatever the situation was, that's how I pitched them.
Here's Asdrubal Cabrera, who grounded out his first time up. All that having been said, I do think that this ballpark changes the way you strategize. That you're less likely to give away an out for a single run and more play for the big inning.
Sabermetric people all over are having a festive party right now after hearing you say that.
Well, if every ballpark were like Coors Field, that would make sense. I don't know. Do the sabermetric people say pitchers shouldn't bunt?
I don't know that.
I don't think that's the case. I think they acknowledge the fact that most pitchers are, automatic outs.
They acknowledge this is that they don't like to give up an out ever.
I understand, but if you can have a productive out rather than a strikeout, that's usually better. 0-2 to Cabrera, who grounded out his first time up, and as Asdrubal pokes one the other way where nobody's playing, and he's got a base hit. They had the shift on, and they had Arenado over in the shortstop position, and Cabrera slaps one the other way for the 3rd Met hit of the inning.
Well, the defense has shifted over for the pull. We have not seen defenses shifted over against Cabrera. This is really the first one, and it cost them.
Well, there was a time when Cabrera was more of a home run hitter, but at this point in his career, it makes perfect sense for any time they put a shift on against him like that for him to take the single.
Chatwood's best pitch is a sinker away to lefties. What's he going to throw? I mean, that's his pitch. Where are you going to hit it as a lefty? Left field.
Here's Conforto, and he takes a fastball inside. Michael grounded out to third base sharply his first time up. So the Mets with a run home and a chance for more. DeGrom at second. And Cabrera at first with 1 out. And Conforto drives one toward the left field corner. Foul, just foul. That barely missed, rattling around in the corner as an extra base hit.
Would need the John McEnroe camera on that one. I thought that was inside the line, but you can clearly see that it just, what's that, 6 inches? 4 inches?
Third base umpire Carlos Torres, who made the bad call last night, made the right call there.
I always have fear of the hitter who comes up after they've made a mistake the inning prior, because they come up with a little keener sense of making sure they try to make up for a mistake.
Conforto back at the plate with a 1-1 count. By the way, did you notice that on this rather cool afternoon, temperature in the mid-50s,
Cool every day.
DeGrom is not wearing a jacket or a hoodie.
He's an athlete.
He's got the medium sleeves on. I guess that's his only deference to the temperature. Conforto swinging at the fastball, and it's 2-2. The Nats have lost their game today. They got beat by Jose Fernandez and the Marlins 5-1. Fernandez went 7, 4 hits, 11 strikeouts. Just a normal outing for him. And so the Nats will come into Citi Field Tuesday night at 23-15. Right now, 1 game in front of the Mets. Sliced toward the hole, and that'll go through for a base hit. DeGrom waved around third as Parra charges, and DeGrom will score without a throw. Another hit him where they ain't base hit. This one from Michael Conforto drives in a run, and it's 3-1 New York.
Hit them where they ain't, or hit them where players used to play.
Well, where they were, but now ain't.
Cabrera hit one right to the third baseman. That was a hit. And this one would have been a one-hopper to the shortstop. But again, playing to pull. And DeGrom has got some speed. So he knew he could score pretty easily. Long strides.
See, now that's a situational shift, right? Because if there weren't a runner at second base, Arenado might have been where that ball was hit. But with a runner at second, you can't play that far over.
Right.
So it finds a hole. So the Mets have 4 hits in the inning.
But let's just say this inning, if you just played the fielders where they normally played, like for 100 years, Chat would be in having a coffee right now.
You do that between innings?
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's Cespedes, who had a long home run his first time up, and he fouls back the first pitch fastball.
First person I heard of drinking lots of coffee, Tom Browning, you know, the great Reds pitcher who threw a perfect game. He used to drink one coffee per inning. So if you went a complete game, 9 cups of coffee.
So he didn't sleep for 2 days after that.
Well, kind of like you over there, bro.
And Cespedes screws himself into the ground. And let's hope he's okay. He has still been facing the lingering effects of the bruised thigh that kept him out of action for a while. This one he bangs off that shin guard.
Yeah, I thought it was over the shin guard, in fact, against his shin and calf. He is going to be one bruise at the end of the season.
Well, he's built like one big muscle. So
yes, he is.
That one big muscle will be purple and black.
I know he's taller, but he kind of built a little bit like Jimmy Wynn, you know, like he's just all big chested, big arms.
The toy cannon.
Yeah.
That's a good call. Jimmy Wynn, who could blast home runs out of the Astrodome when nobody else could. 0-2 to Cespedes with Duda on deck. And Uenis smacks one to center. Blackman back, has it measured, makes the catch. Cabrera tags at second. He'll go to third. Cespedes hitting another ball hard. He did that all night last night. And Blackman able to make this grab for the second out.
That was the second 0-2 pitch. First one was a home run. This one, a line drive to center field from Chatwood. A couple of mistakes by the young right-hander.
Just a little bit of a limp from Cespedes as he walks back to the dugout. So with 2 runs home in the inning, 2 out, runners at the corners, and Duda coming up. Lucas struck out his first time up. Another way in that game in Washington today, Daniel Murphy was scratched from the starting lineup because he was sick, but he did pinch hit in the 9th. My feeling is if he has 104 Tuesday night, he'll be in the lineup.
He'll be ready to go. And he's going to get a big hand. He was a crowd favorite, the Murph.
Duda hits one past the mound, but Story's right there. And he throws out Duda. 6-3 put out to end the inning. But the Mets score twice and lead 3-1 in the 3rd. Scenes we show you here in Colorado, there's snow or ice. It's kind of the theme of this road trip. Fun facts: Denver. The first permanent structure in Denver was a saloon.
Oh, very nice. Of course it was. This is the Wild Wild West at some point.
Tyler Chatwood, good hitting pitcher, takes outside. Led Zeppelin played their first U.S. show here.
Kashmir was the first song, by the way. I'm only kidding. I don't know.
Was Chase Utley in the audience?
That's right.
It's the strike to check.
Yeah, I think Robert Plant threw his mic at him, in fact.
Somebody, finally. Chatwood, lifetime .265 hitter, and he takes a slider for a strike. 1-2. And DeGrom had himself a base hit to drop in a run. Now trying to take care of his opposite number. Charlie Blackmon on deck, and then Trevor Story for the Rockies in the home 3rd. Hit the other way, and De Aza has it measured with the sunglasses on top of the cap. 1 out. Well, according to a 5-year-old survey in the Huffington Post, take that for what it's worth, these are the greatest Denver sports icons. I would bet that Peyton Manning would probably be on that list now, as opposed to in 2011. No?
Well, we were talking about Floyd Little the other day. He doesn't make that on it because he's Patrick Roy, I thought would be higher than that, but maybe because he had most of his great years in Montreal.
I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from Joe Sakic. Fantastic career, but he might have faded a little bit in the polls since 2011.
But when you think of Denver, you don't think of you don't think of Peyton, right? I mean, now you do, but
well, it depends when you ask, right?
Yeah.
That's deep to center off the bat of Blackmon. Cespedes near the wall, and he makes the catch. Cespedes got a late break on that ball. Not sure if he didn't see it or didn't know how far it was hit, but he's able to get back 415 feet away and make the grab, much to the delight of DeGrom.
Well, he's just going back, and it just kept carrying on him. I thought at the beginning, Gary, he thought it was just going to be a simple fly ball, and It's pretty funny. After he caught it, he looked into the Mets bullpen and gave him the stare down. I mean, this is right after he fouled the ball off his calf. So
right. So he was probably hoping he wasn't going to have to do any serious running. So 2 hard outs for DeGrom here in the third. And here's Trevor Story with a comebacker his first time up. DeGrom's been consistently 92, the occasional 93. It's what we've become accustomed to seeing from Jacob this year. Last year he was more a 95 to 97 guy. Throws that one by. Story at 91. Ball and a strike.
Now you would think it would make sense in this thin air that you would throw harder.
Sure. Less wind resistance.
We saw that from John Gray.
That's on the corner. Nicely spotted by DeGrom. 1-2.
Boy, that fastball away from the right-handers. When he is spotting that, that changes his whole game. That's when he has those big strikeout games.
Those have eluded him so far this year. His strikeout high this season is 6. In fact, his 20 strikeouts in 5 starts this year is the fewest strikeouts he's had in any 5-start stretch in his career.
Put in perspective, the first game of the NLDS, he struck out 13.
Right. 2-2 coming. And Story takes on the outside corner. Strike 3 call. Second strikeout of the day for DeGrom. He's got a 1-2-3 inning after getting the lead. It's 3-1. Frown. Fourth inning, 3-1 New York. Neil Walker leads off against Tyler Chatwood. Walker hit a slow ground ball and was thrown out his first time, and he takes the curveball for ball 1. Walker, Plawecki, and Campbell for the Mets in the fourth. It's got a home run from Cespedes in the second. RBI singles from DeGrom and Conforto in the third. And Chatwood behind on Walker, 2-0. Congratulations to Carlos Beltran, who today hit his 400th career home run, and the Yankees win over the White Sox.
Wow, that's great for Carlos.
400 home runs, 300 stolen bases, 1,450 RBIs. Nice grab by Story. Spins and throws out Walker, 1 away.
Story playing very nicely right up the middle. This ball hit right on the button, and one hop in that shift by Story robs Walker of a hit.
There's a lot of conversation now about Carlos and his qualifications for the Hall of Fame. I think he's a surefire Hall of Fame.
Me too. I agree.
Because if you factor in his defense, he was one of the elite center fielders in the game for a long time.
You factor in his defense, stolen bases, and his proficiency at that. And don't forget, oh yeah, his ability in the postseason.
Yeah, he had a pretty good postseason.
I can hear everyone saying,
except for
you know, the
big
curveball that he didn't swing at. I get it. So you can vent at me for that.
But go look at his overall numbers.
Look at the numbers.
Plawecki hit a comebacker his first time, and he takes a slider for a strike. 1-2. Toward the middle of the diamond, Story can't get this one, and Plawecki's got a base hit. So the Mets have their 6th hit against Chatwood. 1 out and 1 on, and we go inside baseball with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Well, you guys talk about Carlos Beltran, but how about David Ortiz? Yesterday continued his stellar farewell tour season, hit his 500th double, a walk-off double yesterday. He now has 600 home runs, 500 doubles, the 3rd player in Major League Baseball to have those 2 numbers. The first 2 were Hank Aaron and Barry Bonds. Now, the thing that I want to know from you guys is where you see his legacy ending up, because we all know what Hank Aaron is and we all know what Barry Bonds is in terms of having that steroid cloud over him. David Ortiz failed a drug test but does not seem to have that same level of scrutiny to him. I don't know if it's because he was much better with the media or if it was simply because at this point people are desensitized. But where do you think, when all is said and done, Ortiz's legacy will land?
Well, in my opinion, he will be a first ballot Hall of Famer as the first full-time DH to make it into the Hall of Fame. That's my opinion.
It's another guy that you have to consider the postseason as well. I think it's 500 home runs, 600 doubles.
Yes.
That he and that small group have. I don't know.
Bonds and Aaron, right?
I can't speak for the voters, because everybody's got different ideas about how they address the issue of performance-enhancing drugs. And in Ortiz's case, you know, he was implicated on that list that was supposed to say private of 104 players.
Right.
And you know, if the rest of that list ever got out of the 104 players on that sample list before they instituted the penalties for performance-enhancing drugs, that might blow up a lot of people's illusions about a lot of people.
You might have a half dozen people that are already in the Hall of Fame might be on that list.
That's right.
Guys, what do you think it is, though, with Ortiz? Do you think, I mean, it just seems like it's different the way he's treated than Barry Bonds. Do you think it has something to do with his persona, how he was with the media? Or do you think it's just that, like I said, people have become a little bit desensitized to this over the last 10 years or so?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think people look at Barry Bonds that much differently than they look at Mark McGwire. And certainly there's Campbell drawing a walk. I don't think, you know, Mark didn't have a negative reputation with the media the way Barry did.
Also, Big Papi has never failed a drug test since then, and he's still hitting home runs, doubles, and driving in runs, and getting big hits, and continuing to perform at the highest level. I don't think they're desensitized. I think he just has performed at such an excellent level, and maybe having his best year this year at age, what, 40? Is 40 or 41? He's going to be the first, to me, he's going to be the first Hall of Famer that was a DH.
Rockies put the wheel on that first pitch looking for the bunt, and DeGrom swung away after he swung away last time and drove in a run with a base hit. I think also when you talk about people being desensitized to the issue of PEDs, a lot of that has to do with the fact that the Hall of Fame electorate is getting a little younger.
Yeah.
And you know, I think the attitudes are a little bit different generational. No wheel this time, 1-1 to DeGrom.
And they eliminated approximately, what, 110 voters, guys who don't follow the game every single day, older voters.
So it'll be interesting to see as these next few years go along how all those guys who have been implicated fare. DeGrom grounds this one down at first, might be 2. Reynolds gets the out at second, and the return in time for the double play to retire the side. So this time having the pitcher swing away does not pay off for the Mets, as Reynolds starts and finishes his second 3-6-3 double play in this series. Still 3-1 New York. Chris Carlin and John Hine will be brimming with anticipation. Brimming, it says here, as they discuss Tuesday's big Mets National Series opener at Citi Field on Loudmouth, presented by Cheapo Air. Tomorrow at 5:30, only on SNY. Brimming.
That's funny.
Here's your Verizon trivia question for it today. Last 5 years, 6 teams that have not made a playoff appearance. Okay, well, we're watching one. So who are the other 5? Nolan Arenado takes one up and in for ball 1. Arenado fouled out to first base his first time up, 2 for 10 in this series, and waves at the slider. It's been a good pitch for DeGrom early in this game, 1-1.
Have you noticed he's working a lot quicker? It seems he's trying to up his rhythm a little bit.
Tap past the mound. Cabrera on the charge and the quick throw to get Arenado. Love the way he gets that ball from glove to hand to first, all in one motion.
He does. Throws off the wrong foot, so glove, hand, off the wrong foot, his right foot instead of left, and a strike.
It's been a joy to watch. 1 out and nobody on. Here's Gerardo Parra, who struck out his first time up. We talked a lot about the deficiencies of the Mets offense on this road trip. But over these last 3 games that the Mets have lost, their starting pitching has also been a problem. Colon in the last game in Los Angeles, and then the first 2 games in this series with Harvey and Verrett. Starting pitcher allowed at least 5 runs in each of those 3 games. DeGrom throws one by Parra. So here's DeGrom with a couple of 1, 2, 3 innings under his belt already in this game, which is something no Met starter had done in this series before. Just trying to calm things down and get them back where they're supposed to be, where the Mets starting pitching dominates. Parra taps the curveball down to third. Nice backhand pick by Campbell, and a stretch by Duda for the second out.
Well, when I watch Jacob pitch, I always feel like he's the most even-keeled of all the Mets pitchers. You know, you can't tell if he's winning 3-1 or losing 3-1. He just is all about execution. Call the pitch. Where do you want it? Here's where it's going. He's got a great demeanor for a starting pitcher.
He's retired 6 in a row. Now he faces Carlos Gonzalez, who lined one to left that Michael Conforto misplayed into a double. That's the first hit of the series for Cargo, and he came in to score the lone Rockies run. Curveball sits up and away, 2-0.
And even on that ball that Michael misplayed, we saw his reaction was like, put his head down. You know, God, that ball's got to be caught. I've seen pitchers throw their gloves in the air. I've seen them look at the fielder, you know, like, what were you thinking? I mean, he's like, okay, should have made that play. Let's move on. He moves on as quick as anyone in the Mets staff.
Well, and that's his general demeanor. I mean, most people on the field reflect who they are as people, and you know, he's a very even-keeled young man, and that certainly helps. And Gonzalez draws a 2-out walk. First walk given up by DeGrom, who's averaged just a walk and a half per 9 innings so far this year. So Mark Reynolds will come to bat. Reynolds hit a long fly ball to center his first time up. Reynolds has been something of a revelation for the Rockies this year. Usually an all or nothing kind of hitter, high home run, high strikeout guy. He's hit for a high average so far this season, batting .330 after his 0 for 1 today. And he skies this one to shallow center, and Cespedes ambles in to get it. That retires the side. We go to the 5th at Coors Field, 3-1 New York. Timeless moment brought to you by Coors Banquet. There it is. It's timeless until the mountains move.
Can you imagine folks in the day would cross that? I mean,
in a stagecoach.
Different kind of people in those days, you know.
Alejandro Diaz up for the third time, and he lines one toward the middle, but that's right where Trevor Story's playing for the first out. That was a hit for 150 years.
It was, not
but
anymore.
It's not anymore. And Diaz has got to be going back to the bench, just mumbling to himself. First hard hit ball he's had in weeks. And it's an out.
I mean, all he was thinking about here is how he was going to round first. And instead, he was rounding first to come back to the dugout.
Here's Asdrubal Cabrera, who's 1 for 2, and he fouls off the curveball. You know, we talk all the time about how to better cover the game. And I wonder, for folks who watch the games on TV, I know when I watch them on TV, when a ball comes off the bat, I've got a pretty good idea of which direction it's going and whether it might have enough trajectory or be hit hard enough to be a hit or in the right spot. If you're watching on TV from the center field camera and you can't see the fielders and the ball comes off the bat, you have a certain expectation of whether it's going to be a hit or not. And I would imagine that with the shifts now, people's sensibilities and how they react in the moment, as Cabrera just got a piece of that, it's got to be a little different, right? It's a little harder to know what to expect when that ball comes off the bat.
I think they're doing exactly what we're doing here. As soon as it leaves the bat, we're like, that's a base. Oh, it's not. That's a line drive to a guy playing that position. I think the same thing happens at home. They're shocked.
Cabrera strikes out. I think it's harder though on TV. I mean, we're sitting in the ballpark and we have the panoramic view of the field, so we can see where the fielders are. But if you're watching on TV and you only get one angle at a time, it's got to be more difficult. And we've been thinking about ways we can better serve the viewer by, you know, showing them defenses in different ways before pitch is thrown.
And not the outfield, just the infield, where the people are. So when you see it leave the bat, you folks at home will have a little better idea that it could be a hit or it could be caught. So hopefully we'll get to it this year.
I know some broadcasts have tinkered with graphics that go in the upper right hand corner, like a bug for the defense to show where the fielders are, and I think that helps to a certain extent, but we're going to try and figure it out. We're going to work on it. I know our director Dan Barr has spent a lot of time thinking about the better ways to do it. Here's Conforto taking a curveball for a strike, 1-2. Conforto had a soft base hit to left field that drove in a run in the third.
And I think for folks at home, you're probably thinking, well, these guys are the best at what they do. So if they come to the plate and they see everyone playing the pull, well, Michael Conforto is going to be a real good hitter in this league. Why don't they just hit it where they're not in the infield? It's not that easy, folks. When you're being jammed and you're being thrown balls down and in, you're more apt to pull the ball. And if you pull the ball, you're hitting it where the most fielders are. So there's an art not only to the defense shifting, there's an art to the pitcher pitching into the shift. That combination should produce a ball that is hit into the shift.
Foul down the line. Do you think as we progress now in the era of the shift that hitters in the minor leagues will be taught better ways of working against the shift? We'll talk more about that next inning. Reynolds flips it to Chatwood, and he's got himself a 1-2-3 top of the fifth. Halfway through, it's 3-1 New York. Live streaming sports service. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. MLB.TV Premium includes a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. DJ LeMahieu has driven to the only Colorado run today. A single in the second. And DeGrom quickly ahead of him 0-2.
Boy, I love when DeGrom is pitching those right-handers in, because it gets them off that fastball away and breaking ball away.
Dustin Garneau on deck, and then the pitcher Chatwood here in the 5th. And a check swing foul.
That's how you counter guys that have had an entire series of hitting the ball to right field. You just get in as far as you can inside and make them wary inside, and then when they hit the ball to the other way, they're going to hit it softly.
LeMahieu hits one right at the shortstop, Cabrera. 1 out. So we were in the midst of a conversation about the adjustments that everybody in the game has to make to shifts, whether it's us on TV or hitters, and I'm wondering if you think in the minor leagues, as player development advances now with the advent of the shift, whether hitters will be taught a little differently.
Unless the big home run hitters have completely changed their personality, I think they'll go through the motions in the minor leagues of learning how to bunt the other way.
Garneau pops up the bunt, and Plawecki's got it. 2 out.
Nice play there by Plawecki. Both Plawecki or DeGrom, it didn't matter. Both of them were going to have it. But this is the thing about catchers. They can't run, but boy, they're so quick. He got out there and made that play look pretty easy. See, both he and DeGrom would have had it.
As long as they don't collide.
All the guys that I've ever played with that are big power hitters, whenever they work on bunting, it's always half-hearted. They don't really try. I think that there's always exceptions. You know, Anthony Rizzo for the Cubs and others really work on it. And the thing is that people are teaching them how to bunt. It's not a bunt. What it is a push ground ball to the left side. That's what it is. So if you continue to teach them how to bunt, that's wrong.
A dunker, and De Aza can't make the play, and Chatwood's got a base hit. I feel like De Aza got a little bit of a late start there on that bloop by Chatwood, and it falls for a 2-out hit.
Well, you got to play shallow against a pitcher, although Chatwood is a very good athlete. So sometimes you have to be a little more careful. The real good play there was made by Neil Walker. Remember what Curtis Granderson was saying. Any ball that's up in the air, you got to come out and help me. And he helped De Aza by getting to the ball and keeping Chatwood at first base.
So 2 out, a runner aboard, and now Charlie Blackmon, who hit one to the center field fence his last time up that Cespedes caught. Blackmon 0 for 2 today, 4 for 10 in the series. And slider in for a strike.
Watch Walker. The good hustle, staying with it, slide, and just make sure Chatwood. That's nice help by the second baseman. Now 2 hits to the outfield against DeGrom. The one to Conforto and the one to De Aza, both kind of misplayed.
Conforto's case, he just misjudged
Yes.
how far it was going to carry on a line. In De Aza's case, he just took a step back, which delayed his path to the ball. 1-1 to Blackmon. Trevor Story would be next. And that's yanked foul over the head of Eric Young Sr., who used some evasive action to make sure he wouldn't get clocked. By the way, you were talking about catchers and their quickness and all that. Do you think every catcher in baseball was cringing watching Cameron Rupp's play to end the Phillies win last night?
But that's like running into a refrigerator. I mean, he's a big man, but
looked like the refrigerator took the worst of it.
Yeah, who was it? Suarez ran in?
Eugenio Suarez, but Rupp, to his credit, held the ball to end the game. That's pulled down to first, a foul ball, just foul.
Well, dude is playing on the line, and he never went for it, so Jerry Davis with the easier call because Lucas is protecting that line. Talking about catchers, Gary, Chris Herman started a catcher last night for the Arizona Diamondbacks as we watch this ball just foul. and he's starting in center field today. First guy to do it since Brandon Inge did it in 2008.
I remember a doubleheader that the Astros played at Shea, where Craig Biggio caught the first game, played center field in the second game, and made one of the greatest catches I've ever seen in center field in that second game of the doubleheader. Biggio eventually would become a second baseman and then an outfielder, but at the time he was a full-time catcher, and that was one of the few games he had played in the outfield, but he was such a great athlete.
Well, they recognized that he was such a great offensive player. They wanted to get him away from the dish so that he could, you know, play 155 games a year.
Proud Seton Hall Pirate.
Yeah.
Curveball slapped the other way and foul.
I was watching something the other night on Bobby Hurley and that he was going to go to Seton Hall until he went to Duke.
Well, his brother went to Seton Hall.
Yeah, Danny.
Both now very successful coaches.
Danny's at Rhode Island, and I think Bobby's at Arizona State.
Arizona State. Just finished his first year there after a couple of good years at Buffalo. Foul back by Blackman. I'm trying to play stopper this afternoon with the Mets in the throes of a 3-game losing streak, trying to head home on a positive note. 8th pitch of the at bat coming to Blackman, and it's up and away in a full count.
You know, these are the little things that happen within today's game, Gary. And if De Asa is able to come up with that play, that's 9 more pitches that DeGrom didn't have to throw to Charlie Blackman.
So now Chatwood will be running. Another pitcher not wearing a jacket. 3-2 to Blackman, and it's up and away for ball 4. So DeGrom issues his second walk, and that puts the tying runs on base with Trevor Story coming up. And Dan Warthen will pay a visit. Remember, the Mets had to go deep into their bullpen last night with Logan Verrett lasting just 2 2/3. So the Mets bullpen worked 5 1/3 innings last night, and they were all very good. The only guy that Terry definitely needs to stay away from today is Sean Gilmartin, who's thrown 5 innings the last 3 days. Probably Hansel Robles too. Remember, Robles went 2 innings Friday and then got a batter yesterday. Get Citi Field for Family Sunday, May 22nd. The Mets square off against the Brewers at 1:10. The first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a bat and ball set as part of Major League Baseball's Play Ball Weekend. After the game, all kids 12 and under can run the bases in the Mr. Met Dash, courtesy of Northwell Health. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Family Sundays.
Because of the way this trip has gone and the way they have an off day tomorrow, this could be a 6-out type situation for Familia.
Well, this is a moment of truth for DeGrom, protecting a 3-1 lead against Trevor Story with the tying runs on base. He's had Story's numbers so far. You got him on a comebacker in the first, got him looking at a call third strike in the third.
Everything's been away to Story so far, and we've seen that he has tremendous power also to right center field.
And now DeGrom behind 2-0. Throwing that last fastball.
Well, we've seen, like we saw with Matt Harvey, good control and then a little loss of it, especially with the command of the fastball.
Two 2-0 to Story. Got a good rip at that one. Do you think part of that is with Harvey and maybe even more so with DeGrom? They're a little short with their fastball in terms of velocity, that they're reaching back to try and get something that's not quite there right now?
I think that's part of it, Gary. Also, I think they're trying to be perfect. They realize they don't. When you have that extra giddy up, you just let it go. And you want it to be on the outer part, but you don't care that it's on the corner because you're going to get it by him.
And Story takes it low and away, and now DeGrom behind 3-1. Trevor Story leading everybody in the National League in rookie RBIs. He's 6th in the National League among everybody. And he's in a great spot here. 3-1 with Arenado looming on deck. Chatwood at second, Blackman at first. And Story fouls off the fastball, and now it's 3-2.
Oh, that was a good pitch there. Did you see the placement of that? Knees and on the outside corner. Story's looking for something middle of the plate in. He gets the fastball, which he wanted to, but you can't put that ball in play. It was too good.
All right, so he's throwing 5 straight fastballs to Story. Does he do something else here on 3-2?
Two things he can do here. I think after that fastball, there's a fastball in he can go with. That would get a called third strike, or he could throw a slider off that fastball away.
Chatwood and Blackman will be running. 3-2 to Story. And another fastball, and he fouls it back. 93 from DeGrom, which is about where he's topped out today.
Now that one wasn't as good a spot. You know, now that gets a little dangerous because Story's starting to catch up to his fastball a little. Total surprise is the inside pitch. Do you have the guts to make it? And it's hard to throw the 3-2 pitch with the runners running. That 3-2 breaking ball. I'd stay away from the breaking ball. Story has 3 hits in this series off hanging sliders.
Again, the 3-2. And he threw him a slider and he fouled it off.
Did you see how that swing was, Gary? A little behind the fastball, but on the slider, it was right there. So it was away enough, but as far as the speed of the bat to the ball, today's player says get the head of the bat to the ball. He was there.
When you go back to that blue pit by Chatwood, since that hit, DeGrom has had to throw 16 more pitches. It prolonged the inning, and now he's got a tight spot to try and work out of here. The 8th pitch of the at-bat coming to Story. And he rips it to left. Conforto is there, and he makes the catch. Conforto had that one measured perfectly on a bullet off the bat of Story, and that keeps DeGrom out of trouble in the 5th inning. On to the 6th at Coors Field, 3-1 New York. Road trip. Tyler Chatwood and Jacob DeGrom squaring off. Yankees Cespedes get one out of the ballpark. That's trying to escape Colorado with a victory and hope to go home with something to cheer about. And they've got a 3-1 lead as we go to the 6th. Let's answer our Verizon trivia question. We asked over the last 5 years who are the 6 teams who have not been in the postseason. Ronnie?
Well, I don't see Mariners, Marlins, Padres, White Sox. White Sox are the teams I did not have. I had Cleveland instead of the White Sox, so all the other ones I had.
Yeah, the Indians won a division, what, 2012, 2013, somewhere in there?
Yeah.
There's the Rockies. Their one trip to the World Series was that incredible run they had at the end of 2007 when they won 21 out of 22 before getting swept in the World Series. NYN at Cespedes bounces one right to Story, and the overhand throw, 1 pitch and 1 out for Tyler Chatwood in the 6th. Let's check in with Doug Williams. He's got a game break brought to you by your local Honda dealers. How about the pitchers duel of the day? John Lester and Garrett Cole in Chicago. Lester had a no-hitter into the 7th, but Cole prevailed. 8 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs. Pirates beat the Cubs 2-1.
And Cole has not been his dominant self yet, and that was his. That's the Cole we know.
So the Cubs have now lost 9 games.
They'll get in double figures at some point. Most do.
27-9, 750 winning percentage, not bad. Judah fouls it off, and it's 2-1. Lucas has struck out and grounded out today. The performance of the day goes to the little heralded Danny Valencia of the Oakland Athletics, who hit 3 home runs today, including the go-ahead 2-run shot in the 9th. That's grounded into the shift, and LeMahieu is there to play. 2 out. Oakland beat Tampa Bay 7-6. I think Valencia's first 2 home runs of the year came night before last, and then he hit 3 today.
Well, he just got off the disabled list a little bit ago, so he's moved around a lot, and every place he goes, he plays pretty decently, but not decent enough to stay.
He was in Minnesota first time we saw him, right?
Minnesota. There were a couple of different teams.
Here's Neil Walker, who's 0 for 2. Twice his grounded to the right side.
He also was with Kansas City when they sent Moustakas down to the minor leagues, and Valencia played there for a while, and then Moustakas came back up in 2014, right, and that was it.
The Royals, who just can't seem to get anything going, they lost to the Braves last night. They had a 2-0 lead in the 9th today, trying to have a bullpen day. Danny Duffy starting with 3. And then Wade Davis blew the save in the 9th, and they're now still playing in the 11th inning against Atlanta.
Wade Davis, the guy who doesn't give up any runs? That guy?
That's the guy. The Atlanta Braves got 2 off him in the 9th. After Mike Fultonevich pitched the game of his life yesterday and shutting out the Royals for 8 innings. 1-2 to Walker. And that's off the plate.
As planned, Chatwood has 17 outs in this game. 11 are on the ground, 2 in the air, and 4 punch outs.
He's retired the last 6 after getting out of trouble in the 4th. And Walker takes below the knees. 3-2. He'll had 3 hits last night, including a home run. That's as a group trying to shake this offensive malaise that has seen them score just 29 runs in 10 games on this road trip coming into today. There's ball 4, and Walker's on with a 2-out walk. And then at the other end of the spectrum, there's the Boston Red Sox, who beat the Astros today 10-9 to finish off a 6-1 homestand, 7-game homestand, in which they scored 73 runs. 73 runs in 7 games.
It seems like they scored 10 a night. Jackie Bradley Jr., Ortiz, Bogarts, who homered today.
Here's Plawecki, who had a base hit up the middle his last time up. And Kevin takes a strike. It's a nice battle at the top of that American League East.
Yes, it is.
The Orioles lost today, so the Red Sox and Orioles now in a virtual tie. No swing, 1-1.
You know, when he starts in the stretch, he's really wide, stays real low. He's built a little low to the ground. Big legs and a power sinker.
That's hit hard down to Arenado. Fields it with aplomb and gets the force to end the inning. He just makes everything look so routine. Middle of the 6th, 3-1 New York. Baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. What do we got today? We got Jose Fernandez doing what he does, and Giancarlo Stanton has been ice cold, hitting a home run in the Marlins win over the Nationals. Danny Valencia, we mentioned all 3 of his home runs 425 feet or more.
What?
Yeah. And Eugenio Suarez, a big day for the Reds as they beat the Phillies.
Don't forget what you had for breakfast, Danny.
0-2 to Nolan Arenado, leading off in the home 6th. Arenado was fouled out to first and grounded to short 0 for 2. Gerardo Parra on deck, then Carlos Gonzalez, the 3, 4, and 5 hitters against DeGrom. And Arenado pops one up into shallow right. De Aza with the sunglasses on now makes the catch. So he's gone from no sunglasses to sunglasses on the hat to sunglasses on his eyes. I think that's progress. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by the Lexus NX Turbo and Hybrid. Go beyond utility. By Citi, proud partner of the New York Mets. And by StubHub, looking for great seats, head to StubHub, the official ticket marketplace of the New York Mets. You know, I don't mind watching Larry Walker hit home runs, but I really don't care for the Dante Bichette fist bump after they beat the Mets in the first ever game at Coors Field.
Why don't you like that?
That's a little annoying because of the circumstances.
Oh, okay.
Parra flies out for the second out. No, it was a 5.5-hour game. It was 35 degrees. The Mets fought hard all day. Bichette hits the home run, does that little fist thing toward the dugout. I've just seen it too many times.
Guys named Dante, they're going to be like that. You know how it goes. You know those Blake Street,
like in Clerks.
That's like Inferno, maybe.
Oh, that.
The Blake Street bombers were something, but in '97, Larry Walker, I wrote down his numbers just so we can talk about him. He's one of the greatest athletes I ever played against.
Gonzalez hits one deep to center. Cespedes back to the track, back at the wall. It's out of here. Carlos Gonzalez breaks his long home run drought with his 5th of the year, and it cuts the Met lead to 3-2.
Well, you kind of had the feeling that you were not going to keep Carlos Gonzalez under wraps the entire series. He's just too good of a player. And that pitch was not an awful pitch by Jacob. In fact, the ball was down and, well, not away. It came back over the inside part. And that ball seems to be a jet stream when it goes to left center in that area. Really carries. That ball's knee high. That shows you how much power he has.
Cargo had gone 24 games without a home run. He had gone 17 games without a run batted in before that home run. It's only the second home run DeGrom's given up this season. And now Reynolds takes a slider for a strike, 1-1. We were talking about Larry Walker. When just as Carlos Gonzalez acted like a Blake Street bomber.
Well, I was thinking that's how Larry Walker used to hit him when he played here in '97. But at '97 year, when he was the MVP, he had 400 total bases, batted .366 with 130 RBIs, same as Arenado had last year. 49 home runs, 99 extra base hits, 33 stolen bases, and his third Gold Glove.
What did he hit that year?
366.
He was pretty good. Now, is Larry Walker a Hall of Famer?
You know, his splits like Todd Helton are different here than other places. But I'll tell you, when I played against Larry Walker, and it was early in his career, certainly late in mine, he was one of the best athletes and players I've ever played against.
Reynolds pulls one down to third, handled at the midsection by Campbell. And that retires the side. Carlos Gonzalez's home run gets the Rockies closer. Mets lead 3-2 going to the seventh. Eric Campbell leads off the seventh inning for New York. It's been a good day for Soup. A double and a walk. He's made a couple of nice plays in the field as well. Facing Tyler Chatwood in a one-run game. Jacob deGrom next, and then Alejandro De Aza for the Mets in the seventh.
Boy, Chatwood and deGrom have been impressive, haven't they, this afternoon?
Chatwood's 8th start of the year coming back from Tommy John surgery. He may be better than ever. Slider off the plate, 1-2. They just hope they can keep him healthy a full year. They'll probably have to limit his innings at some point. Nice grab by Chatwood. And that's the first out of the inning. We were talking about Larry Walker, a 3-time batting champion. Andres Galarraga won a batting title playing at Coors Field. Michael Kadire, Matt Holliday, Justin Morneau, Todd Helton, Carlos Gonzalez. I mean, the problem that you run into with people like Walker is you've got the double whammy of the era, which was inflated offensively, and the ballpark, which was inflated offensively. The thing about Coors Field is, you know, they put in the humidor in 2002 to cut down on the number of home runs. and it's been sort of effective in that, as DeGrom is badly fooled. The problem is you can't cut down on all the hits in this ballpark because of the massive size of the outfield, and so the numbers remain high here even since they put in the humidor. Not as many home runs as in Cincinnati, but all the other numbers still the best offensive park in baseball. Chadwood behind on DeGrom, 3-1. Jacob had an RBI hit in the third inning. 1 for 2 on the day. And now he's on with a walk. Third walk given up by Chadwood. That's Chris Russin, normally a starter up in the bullpen for the Rockies. I don't know if he's just getting work in or if he's warming up as a potential reliever today. But Chadwood's at 100 pitches, so you'd have to figure Russin's working for real.
I think he is, because the way he was getting warm, I mean, it wasn't like you would do it as a starter. He was trying to get warm very quickly.
So the Mets have DeGrom at first and 1 out. De Aza at the plate. Alejandro getting his first start since April the 27th. He's gone 0 for 3 today. Struck out the first 2 times, then had a bullet his last time up, but right at Trevor Story, who was playing behind the bag at second, which is where he's stationed again. Big hole at shortstop. That's a double play ball. LeMahieu to Story, and the relay in time for the 4-6-3 double play to get Chatwood through the top of the 7th. Stretch time at Coors Field, 3-2 New York. First 2016 renewal of Mets Nats. 2015 provided some great highlights as the Mets ran their way to the National League East title through Washington. Some tremendous moments in September at Nationals Park as the Mets swept the series to put the Nats in their rearview mirror. First game of the series Tuesday night, your City Probables. That's quite a pitching matchup.
Wow.
Noah Syndergaard against Max Scherzer, coming off his 20 strikeout performance his last time out. Let's go to Steve Gelbs for more on the series coming up. His report today brought to you by StubHub. Steve?
Well, Gary, it is going to be very interesting to see how the Mets approach Bryce Harper. Over the last 10 games, basically teams have decided to not pitch to Bryce Harper. He has 45 plate appearances in his last 10 games, but only 19 official at-bats. He's walked 24 times, has raised his on-base percentage by 84 points in that stretch of games. It seems to be working, though. He's only got 1 home run, 3 RBIs, and the Nationals are 4-6 in that stretch. Going to be really interesting to see what the Mets do, especially on Tuesday with a guy like Syndergaard on the mound who's got such great stuff, but also struggles when he puts runners on base.
Well, I think that Dusty Baker has made the proper move to try to counteract some of that pitching around Harper by putting Daniel Murphy, who's been so red hot, right behind Harper in the batting order.
They're going to pitch to Harper, and they're going to go right after him. Simple as that. They got the arms, and they've done it ever since Harper has been in the league, including last year when he won the MVP.
What's fascinating about the Nationals is that, you know, Harper is Harper and Murphy's off to this incredible start. Yeah. Wilson Ramos is hitting well, but the rest of that lineup has been dreadful.
Yeah, Zimmerman has not been the same. That's why he was moved out from behind Harper. Rendon has not been good.
Worth hasn't hit.
Worth hasn't hit. You don't know if he's done.
Ben Revere, since he's come back from the DL, hasn't hit at all.
Michael Taylor in the outfield's under 200.
DJ LeMahieu leading off the bottom of the 7th. So it's been a very specific part of the Nationals batting order that has worked for them, and that's been enough because their pitching has been that good.
I mean, there's 2 ways of looking at it. You know, maybe they're not going to hit, or 2, they have more wins than the Mets and they haven't hit yet. That's a little scary.
LeMahieu carves 1 foul. Well, I think a lot of people felt that when Jordan Zimmerman left as a free agent that maybe the Nats starting pitching would take a step back, but that has not happened. I know Tanner Roark struggled yesterday, but he and Joe Ross have filled those last 2 spots in the rotation nicely.
They have.
0-2 to LeMahieu, and it's up and away.
That's DeGrom's 87th pitch, and that includes the 17 he threw after the play in right field that Diaz wasn't able to come up with.
It makes a big difference in his outing today, and that's why Blevins and Henderson are both on call in the Mets bullpen. LeMahieu with another good cut, fouls it back.
He might be one of the most improved hitters I've seen in quite some time, because when he first came up, I thought he was all defense. You could just knock the bat out of his hands. He never was going to ever become a guy or become the hitter he's become now.
Worked himself into being an all-star last year, hit just over 300.
He's one of those guys that think this field's hurt him early in his career. He's a big guy, and when you're a big guy, people expect you to hit home runs. He's not a home run hitter. He's an average hitter. I'm not talking about average, hitting for an average.
7th pitch of the at-bat from DeGrom. And he fires it low and away. 94. That's the hardest pitch he's thrown all day. DeGrom has had to throw a lot of pitches this 3rd time through the batting order. And Mayhew does a nice job fouling off that breaking ball.
Now this is where you make your bacon if you're a starting pitcher. You're in the 7th inning. You're at the bottom of the order. You got to think of yourself that, you know, I should be able to go through 7, 8, and 9 in the batting order. 9, of course, being going to be a pinch hitter.
This will be the 9th pitch of the at bat coming to LeMahieu. And the curveball sits high. Full count.
And the reason I say that, Gary, the way you get in trouble is you let the bottom of the order get some people on base like they did against Matt Harvey. with the pitcher Gray getting a hit, and then the talented hitters come up. The guys with power.
LeMahieu's been equal to the task here. Not letting DeGrom get away easily.
LeMahieu last year hit 400 into May. So this is not an anomaly. This kid has made himself into a good hitter.
3-2 coming, and fouled again. The first 2 times through the batting order today, DeGrom threw a total of 56 pitches. To the 7 hitters so far the third time around, 39 already.
Same thing happened to Harvey in his start, and it's about this Rockies team has a real good 2-strike approach, and we're seeing Mets pitchers, they're talented youngsters, not getting a lot of swing and misses other than Syndergaard.
And on the 12th pitch of the at bat, DeGrom misses high and tight, and LeMahieu gets a well-earned walk. Third walk given up by DeGrom. And sitting at 96 pitches, we'll see how much further Terry will go with him. Dustin Garneau is the hitter. Then you'll get a pinch hitter for the pitcher with Ryan Rayburn on deck. So would you bunt here with Garneau?
I was just thinking about it myself. That is a definite thought. I don't think that's a bad play. If you go ball 1, you could maybe put a hit and run on if you wanted to. But I think down one run, you're trying to get this game even if you can, if you're Walt Weiss.
And Garneau lines the bunt foul. Garneau tried to bunt his way on the last time up, and he popped one up that Plawecki caught. So he has not shown himself to be that adept at bunting so far.
Yeah,
today.
but his form is good. So his form is pretty good. So he's got a chance.
Got Campbell creeping in at third now.
If you're Jacob, you want to throw that good fastball riding up in the strike zone because you want him to pop it up.
And he bunts another one foul. Here Garneau yelling at himself, and it's 0-2.
I remember those words well.
Well, here's another measure of how it's gone for DeGrom. First 4 innings, he had 8 swings and misses. In the 3 innings since, 1.
Yeah. You know, he's a 15 to 20 guy on a regular day.
See if Garneau's still bunting. 0-2. Set to swing, and he fouls it away.
You know, I just think that the haven't been able to use this 0-2 count to their advantage. You know, get that breaking ball that looks like a strike, bends out of the strike zone, and get a feeble swing.
And that one bounces away from Plawecki, so it'll have the effect of a sacrifice, moving LeMahieu to second with the tying run.
Breaking ball away. Plawecki gets kind of sideways on it. See that he didn't get all the way out and get in the middle of his body. Now, I'm not blaming Kevin. It's a very difficult play to keep in front of you, but he didn't get his body all the way out there.
So now LeMahieu carrying the tying run at second with nobody out. 1-2 to Garneau, with Rayburn on deck to pinch hit. Trying to hit one to the right side, and he fouls it off.
Again, another good 2-strike approach. I've not seen, except for Story, the second at bat, coming in with that good cheese inside. Even if it's off the plate, it'll get him from hitting that little weak grounder or hit to the right side.
DeGrom up over 100 pitches now for the afternoon. Bullpen ready if needed. Plawecki sets up inside, and it's on the inside corner, perfectly placed by DeGrom to get Garneau looking for the first out. Just the 3rd strikeout of the day for Jake.
That's what you got to do with 2 strikes. Guys are leaning over the dish. If you place that fastball the correct place, there's no chance that they can swing.
Well, it looks like that's going to be all for DeGrom. Terry Collins on his way out with DeGrom at 102 pitches through 6 1/3. Ryan Rayburn, right-hand hitter, announced into the game, and Terry makes the sign for Jim Henderson to come on in relief. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. Mets up 3-2, trying to hang on in the 7th. We'll be right back to Coors Field. Here at Coors Field, up 3-2 in the bottom of the 7th. Jacob deGrom out after 6 1/3. A look at today's starters brought to you by People's United Bank. deGrom still on the hook for one more base runner. Tyler Chatwood out after 7, having allowed 3 runs and 6 hits. Well pitched on both sides in this hitter's paradise. And now Jim Henderson will try and put down the threat here in the 7th.
Well, back-to-back days for Henderson, but only 10 pitches yesterday.
Comes in to face Ryan Rayburn, who's pinch hitting for Chatwood with LeMahieu at 2nd and 1 out. Rayburn had a pinch hit single in yesterday's game, and he takes up high for ball 1. Rayburn, 35 years old. He was on the free agent shelf for a long time. It wasn't until well into spring training that the Rockies signed him, and he's done a great job for them in part-time duty.
I was very surprised that a real good ball club, contending ball club, did not go for Rayburn.
Honestly, I thought early in the winter that the Mets might be interested in Rayburn before they signed De Aza, but they needed someone who was more of a center field type because they didn't know they were getting Cespedes back. Well, the Mets bullpen has been fabulous so far this year. Only 6 home runs allowed, fewest in the majors, best numbers at stranding inherited runners, best ERA in the National League. Yesterday, 5 1/3 scoreless innings out of the bullpen.
Get some free dinners on the road if you strand that many runners from your starting pitchers.
Anderson takes a look at 2nd, but Walker had backed away.
Rayburn is a guy who goes coast to coast. He can hit the ball anywhere in the field. That's why the Mets have a pretty standard defense against him in the infield and straight up in the outfield.
Anderson behind him, 2-0. And Rayburn flies one to right center. It's well hit. Back goes De Aza near the wall, and it's out of here. A pinch hit 2-run homer for Ryan Rayburn turns this game around. Rayburn's 5th home run of the year gives the Rockies a 4-3 lead in the bottom of the 7th. That's the first home run Jim Henderson has allowed this season.
Got behind Rayburn, had to come with a fastball. You see that head down by Rayburn, down and through. Clutch home run for Rayburn.
So Henderson, who has had trouble when he's been asked to work back-to-back days, finds trouble today. And now Charlie Blackmon takes up and away for ball one.
You know, the thing, Gary, about Henderson is that when he gets behind hitters, he really is a one-pitch pitcher. He wants to throw that fastball 90% of the time. He'll throw an occasional slider, but the fastball is his pitch.
Well, the book now closed on DeGrom. He goes 6 1/3, 3 runs, 4 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, a wild pitch and a home run, and no decision for DeGrom today. His ERA goes up to 2.50. But you know, you go back to that little dunker, and you know, nobody's going to see this in the game story or figure it out from the box score.
No.
But a little dunking base hit off the bat of the pitcher, Tyler Chatwood, in the 5th, that maybe if he gets a better break on the ball, Alejandro De Aza catches, and instead he doesn't, and DeGrom has to throw 17 more pitches to get through that inning, which pushes your bullpen further forward in the game and results in Henderson coming in here in the 7th.
102 pitches of DeGrom. You know, the other thing, Gary, that has been, I'm not saying taken out of the game, but it's almost premeditated about the 100-pitch limit, is that there was DeGrom with the best pitch he threw all night, strikes out Garneau, and because of this premeditation on how you take pitchers out or how far you push them, he was taken out of the game. You could look at it that, boy, you know, he is muscling up and going to get us through this inning just like he has his entire 2-year career in a Mets uniform. Eyeballs sometimes work in this game, but I mean, you can understand how they try to protect the pitchers. Sometimes you gotta, you know, it's a pitcher's game, a starting pitcher's game, and he's thinking about ways of getting himself a win.
Rayburn gets Blackmon gets a hold of one out to center, and there is Cespedes to grab it for the 2nd out. Well, you know,
do you know what I'm saying?
Look, we all understand it's all about long-term thinking with these starting pitchers, and it sometimes forces managers to do things that if they were strictly relying on their eyeballs and staying in the moment, that they might not otherwise do.
Yeah, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying that when you have a premeditated way of thinking about how to use your pitchers in the long run, that might work, it might not. In the short run, you're on the losing end of a ball game.
There's Trevor Story, who's 0 for 3. And that's popped up into shallow right. Long run for De Aza across the line, and he can't get there. Foul ball. And a frustrating day out in right field for Alejandro De Aza. Another ball he couldn't quite reach.
Well, we talked about it the first game of the series, Gary, is that the Mets are trying to bunch their outfielders to take away those alleys, but I mean, those alleys have been in constant use these 3 games.
Seems that way, doesn't it? Well, this is a place the Mets came to thrive last year. They swept a 3-game series here in August and scored 33 runs in the 3 games. Mets have scored just 9 runs in these 3 games so far, and now find themselves on the short end trying to avert a sweep. And Story pokes one into right center, falling fast, and that's down for a base hit. That'll go back to the wall. Story around second. He's going to try for third, and he'll make it easily as Cespedes couldn't pick it up cleanly. Story has a 3-base hit. His 4th triple of the year.
You know what's crazy about this game, Gary? Watching Story in this series, I've been so impressed. He's had a couple of doubles down the left field line, now a double and a triple to the right field corner. Cespedes couldn't get it. I'm so impressed with his speed, his defensive abilities. He could really run. And this is the mercurial nature of baseball. Troy Tulowitzki stays here for his entire career. You never hear a Trevor Story, maybe.
Or he gets traded somewhere else and maybe plays in a different environment. But he's come up here and absolutely hit the ground running from day one. Hit 2 home runs in his debut, and he has not let up. Here's Nolan Arenado, who's 0 for 3. I mean, the Rockies have had some really good fortune with position players over the last few years. With Arenado and with Story, these guys could be cornerstones of their franchise for years to come, and both arrived in the big leagues ready to go. Doesn't always work that way. And for years it was Cargo and Tulowitzki and Helton, the guys who they built around. Well, that was the trade last year, and the Rockies got 3 young pitchers in that deal, including Miguel Castro, who's in the big leagues.
Troy Hawkins now retired.
Blackman's Arenado strikes out to end the inning, but not before the Rockies grab the lead. Ryan Rayburn, a pinch hit 2-run homer, his 6th career pinch hit home run. And the Rockies have the lead for the first time today, 4-3 as we go to the 8th. Head benches clearing brawls anymore. From the trade that brought him here to becoming one of the New York's biggest stars, get an inside look at Noah Syndergaard's rise to the top and the struggles he faced along the way on Mets Insider, presented by W.B. Mason, tonight after the postgame, only on SNY. Mets find themselves down a run as we go to the 8th inning, and the veteran left-hander Boone Logan will come on to pitch for Colorado.
Well, Logan, who's White Sox, Yankees, he's had a long and a good career, signed a 3-year contract here with the Rockies. His job is to turn around Cabrera. He'll have to face Lagares, who's going to be a pinch hitter. I don't think he'll get all the way to Cespedes.
They have a right-hander, Scott Oberg, up in the bullpen, so maybe a 1-batter affair here for Logan, facing Cabrera, who's 1 for 3 today, and he fouls the first pitch off. Logan got in yesterday and faced 1 batter, struck out Lucas Duda.
It's very interesting what Doug Williams has talked about, that Odor thought it was a dirty slide. It was Odor last year who slid into Johnny Giavotella in that last series that almost took Giavotella out of the game. So maybe he does know about hard slides.
Of course, now the rules are different. The expectations are different. Now that infielders have to stay on the bag, they expect the runners to do what they're now prescribed from doing.
Not in a 7-6 game, I'll tell you that. Ray knighted him. Hit his foot.
I don't think it did.
Okay.
He skipped out of the way. He's been a magnet for those.
I'm just assuming because he's been hit so often.
Just got that right foot out of the way. 1-2 to Cabrera, who's already been hit 6 times this season. Well, the Mets are going to need some offense against the Rockies bullpen to avoid going home having been swept here. Mets are 4-6 on the road trip heading into this final game today. And Cabrera tries to lay off, and he stopped the swing in time. The slider that was off the plate, and it's 2-2.
Let's see if Jerry Davis, first base umpire, had it right. I think he did. I like to see those wrists break is really the sign for me, and the wrist did not break in my estimation.
2-2 to his dribble, and he goes down on the slider for the first out.
I mean, this is almost the same pitch that he had to get out of the way of. Back foot slider, the left-handers call it.
Now Juan Lagares is going to bat for Michael Conforto. So Conforto, who had a base hit today and drove in a run, gets pinch hit for against the left-hander, and we'll see whether Walt Weiss responds in kind. You got Lagares and then Cespedes, but he's going to leave Logan in the game. It's a little surprising.
An interesting move, I think, by Terry Collins, don't you think? I mean, Conforto has the power to tie this game up. I know it's a lefty-lefty matchup.
Well, for the most part, Terry has been leaving Conforto in against left-handed relievers, but in a 1-run game, going in a different direction. Lagares has been swinging the bat well when he's had the opportunities, particularly against lefties. And he drives this one to left field. Parra's not going to get there, and it's down for a base hit. Lagares digs for second. Parra's throw is not in time, and it's a pinch hit double for Juan Lagares. So that move looks tremendous. Lagares comes up to pinch hit for Conforto and delivers a double.
Nice job by Juan. In there for Conforto. Produces at least what Conforto would have hoped to, and that's a double down the line. Parra, Gold Glover, could not get there. And with the speed of Lagares, no chance even with his good arm.
Well, now Steve Foster, the pitching coach, is going out, but they're clearly not making a pitching change, so they're going to leave the lefty in to face Cespedes. You got Duda on deck. Now you could walk Cespedes. That would be putting the go-ahead run on base, something that most managers are loath to do.
Well, to me, the horse was out of the barn. What you really needed to do is, if you have Oberg up, he needed to face both Lagares and then Cespedes, and then they have another left-hander in their bullpen, Jake McGee, their closer. You could think for 4 outs.
Well, they've had Russin up a couple of times.
That's
and in
right.
fact, Russin is standing around again on the mound there, not throwing but looking. So it's interesting bullpen management here for Walt Weiss to leave Logan, who's a left-handed specialist, in against one of the best right-hand hitters in the game. Now they're going to walk him intentionally, and this goes against the book. They're going to put the go-ahead run on base at Coors Field to get the lefty-lefty matchup they want.
I would have had the right-hander in for Lagares and Cespedes personally. You know, this is a good move in the sense that Duda, what he hasn't produced, you see the numbers. What is he, 1 for 22 or more against left-handers? You're going to like that matchup. And then Walker, even though this year he's a little different hitter right-handed, over the course of his career, he's not as strong from the right side.
So we'll see who gets the benefit of all these moves. Terry Collins already got the benefit of one, hitting Lagares for Conforto and getting a double. Now Walt Weiss going against convention by putting the go-ahead run on base. And he gets the matchup he wants with Logan against Duda, which resulted in a strikeout last night.
And the Mets bench, which is a little shy. Lucas got a hit.
Well, all the Mets have left, with Lagares having pinch hit, is Granderson from the left side.
And
Rivera from the right side. David Wright, who probably is not available to hit on a day off because of the condition of his back. And Duda takes a slider down for ball 1. Lucas today is 0 for 3. He's 3 for 11 in the series. All 3 of his hits have gone to left field, and you have to be thinking that he's thinking that way against the left-hander in this at bat. They leave the shortstop hole open for Lucas. Lagares at second, Cespedes at first. Mets down a run in the 8th. And that almost hit him. 2-0.
Logan has bouts of wildness. Now, we saw this last night. Lucas was 2-0, and he swung at 2 sliders in the dirt and took a fastball for strike 3.
Neil Walker on deck. Lucas just 1 for 23 against lefties this year after hitting them extremely well last year. He's in a big spot now with 2 aboard. And he goes after the slider and misses. 2-1.
This is the same at bat. This is Groundhog Day. Trying to pull that pitch. Lucas is so, let's see that career versus Logan, he's so strong. Any part in this park he can hit the ball out of.
And now it's 2-2. It's just not making any kind of adjustment.
Now, in yesterday's game, he threw the 2 sliders to get to 2-2 and threw the fastball by him, and he took it.
So Logan looking for the same result. Duda trying to flip the script. 2-2 coming. And he nubs one down to third. Arenado did not make the tag, gets the out at first. And they call Lagares for running out of the baseline, and it's going to be a double play. And Terry Collins will come out to argue. The second base umpire, Rob Drake, called Lagares out for running out of the baseline. That did not appear to be the case. And it goes in the books as a double play to end the inning.
That's the wrong call. He avoided the tag. He did not run out of the baseline, in my estimation. And a shaking of the head 2 nights in a row by manager Collins. He stays on the dirt. He just really kind of maneuvered his body out of the way. He didn't run into the grass of the infield to get away from Arenado.
You notice the third base umpire gives him a pass, but it's the second base umpire, Drake, who made the call.
And the third base umpire was the closest.
So that takes the Mets out of the inning. Still a 4-3 Rockies lead. Bottom of the 8th inning, the Rockies still lead it 4-3 after a very controversial call. Second that went against the Mets in 2 nights. Might cost them yet another game. Jerry Blevins in to face Gerardo Parra, leading off in the bottom of the 8th.
Well, first, this ball had a lot of spin. Arenado tries to get Lagares, who's by him by the time. A safe call by Carlos Torres at third base, which means no tag. And watch the second base umpire as he's watching it. That is not out of the baseline. I am sorry. Rob Drake called it early, so you have to assume that he saw it early. But what he saw, to me, was not running out of the baseline, my estimation.
To me, you get 3 feet leeway either way. It's Cespedes moves to left and Lagares stays in center. And if you don't run on the grass in that situation, you never get called for running out of the baseline.
Right.
And compare that to the play in Pittsburgh last year with Josh Harrison,
where he ran in the infield a couple of times.
Gerardo Parra 0 for 3 today and 0 for 4 as Blevins strikes him out to start the bottom of the 8th.
See, I always feel running out of the baseline is when you go to avoid a tag. There's 2 things happen here. One, Lagares is running so fast that Arenado could never get to him. The reaction by Arenado shows you that he couldn't get to him, and that's why he went on to first base to make the play. And the other thing for me, running out of the baseline, is when you go so far to the baseline that on a play that an infielder can tag you to make a double play, that he can't because you've run out of the baseline too far. That was certainly not the case, in my opinion.
When there was no tag attempted.
Yeah, well,
and
he knew.
And he never ran on the grass. So it's a double whammy.
We're talking about a gold glove third baseman. He knows the timing. The timing was he didn't get to the ball till Lagares was by him.
This is turning into a star-crossed road trip for the Mets. Carlos Gonzalez, meanwhile, has had a big day, a double, a walk, and a home run, his first in nearly a month. And he fouls off that breaking ball 1-1.
I've always thought of running out of the baseline as a play that is obvious to everyone in the ballpark, from us up here to the people in the stands. And when it's just a kind of shifting of your body because of the athleticism of Lagares, it usually is never called.
Gonzalez gets under this one. Walker, playing deep, is out there to make the call, and he makes the catch about as far away from home plate as a second baseman ever will. 2 out.
That's a good play by Walker. He saw the ball before because of the bunching of the outfielders that De Aza didn't get to. So he calls it early. He gets out there, and boy, what was he out there, 100 feet? Outstanding play.
Derek Collins on his way out with the right-hand hitters Reynolds and LeMahieu due up. Blevins will exit. Jerry's Familia will come in with the Mets down a run in the 8th. We'll be right back to Colorado. the 8th inning.
So important here with the skinny lead by the Rockies, a 1 run.
Hasn't pitched since Wednesday when he got his 12th save of the year against the Dodgers. Mark Reynolds lines the first pitch to right. De Aza has it lined up and he snags it. Familia throws 1 pitch, gets the 3rd out, and now the Mets will come up in the 9th down by a run. Walker to lead off. Juan Lagares called for running out of the baseline, and he's still stewing about that.
Well, you heard our studio said it's non-reviewable. How about heinous was the call? The word that comes to my estimation.
I mean, that's 2 days in a row that a blatantly bad call by an umpire might cost the Mets a game. Here's the play again. Arenado does not even try to make a tag. And Lagares is only maybe what, 1 foot from the baseline he had previously established.
Third base ump called him safe. The second base ump had an emphatic call, so right away he called it, but that doesn't make it a right call just because it's emphatic.
Jake McGee on for the 9th. Neil Walker pops the first pitch up, and Trevor Story settling under it. 1 pitch and 1 out for McGee.
Well, Lagares is right. He's right to be hot.
Well, he's saying the third base umpire is right there and call me safe.
I know he's the closest guy to the play. I will say though that Rob Drake has a great angle from where he's at.
Better angle because he has the runner and the fielder in his sight. You look at McGee, who saved the first 2 games of this series.
He's been pretty impressive. Threw a little harder last night than he threw the night before.
Plawecki swings at the first pitch and he pops it up. And in comes Blackman to call, and on 2 pitches McGee has the first 2 outs in the 9th inning.
There used to be an adage in baseball that no longer is for you folks at home. If you're 1 run down, you took a strike because you wanted to get a base runner on. That is no longer. I know Walker's hit some home runs from the right side, but Plawecki you wouldn't certainly put in a home run hitter category.
Well, the Mets are down to their final out, on the verge of getting swept here in Colorado unless they have themselves a rally. Eric Campbell at the plate has doubled and walked today, 1 for 2, and he takes the first pitch outside. Mets are back in action Tuesday night as they start their series at Citi Field against the Nationals with Noah Syndergaard on the mound against Max Scherzer. Coverage begins 6 o'clock Tuesday night right here on SNY. David Wright is out on deck to pinch hit if Campbell keeps it going. And a fastball strike from McGee, 1-1. Didn't know if David would be available to pinch hit. But he's out in the on-deck circle now. Two and one to Campbell. It's going to be a long plane flight back to New York if the Mets don't find a way to yank this game out. Campbell laces one to left field. On comes Parra, but it lands for a base hit. And the Mets get the tying run on base in the ninth. Eric Campbell with his second hit of the day, on base for the third time, and David Wright will come to the plate to pinch hit.
Well, nice game for Campbell. Couple of hits, big clutch hit to get on base here in the ninth. Give the Mets a chance.
Campbell subbing today for David Wright, who had the day off. Terry Collins has felt as though, especially in the cooler weather, that David might not be able to pinch hit on days when he wasn't starting. It would take too much to gear him up, but here he is, ready to go. David had 2 hits last night to fight out of a slump after some early BP. Tying run at first and 2 out. And he takes a strike on the outside. David's always had a blast hitting here at Coors Field. Does he have one more blast in him? Grounds one to shortstop, and Story gets the force, and the Mets have been swept at Coors Field for the second straight day. A questionable call by an umpire puts a crimp in the Mets' comeback hopes. But it's the 2-1 pinch hit home run by Ryan Rayburn that put the Rockies over the top as they sweep 3 from the Mets, and the Mets will limp home with a 4-7 road trip.
Well, good strong pitching from both starting pitchers. Chatwood for the Rockies, DeGrom for the Mets. He left with a lead in hand, but 102 pitches. Jim Henderson was brought in, and a veteran 35-year-old are on the bench for the Rockies. Ryan Rayburn came up with the big hit, the 2-run home run, but the base running call by Rob Drake of interference on Lagares, just like yesterday on the strikeout of Walters, is going to be on the mind of the Mets for the next few days.
Mets bullpen has been so good, but Jim Henderson gives up the first home run he's allowed this season as Rayburn takes him deep for what turns out to be the game-winning hit as the Rockies go over 500 for the season, and the Mets go 4-7 on their extended road trip as the Rockies win this one 4-3 to sweep the 3-game series. Coming up tonight, Geico Sports Night, 10:30. They'll preview the Mets National Series starting Tuesday night and check out the rest of the Major League action and all the basketball as well. Geico Sports Night tonight at 10:30. 4-3 the final. Colorado wins it. We'll come back with more from Coors Field in just a moment.